Hi, it's Kai, and today we are going to be doing a kind of summer slash kind of general beauty and lifestyle favorites videos. I feel like I don't end up talking about my likes in a product until they are emptied, but I have plenty of products that are nowhere near empty that I still want to share the love for. I have some, again, lifestyle products, including like a drink that I've been really enjoying recently. I have beauty products, of course. Some of them are even discontinued, and I think part of the reason I sometimes don't like doing favorites videos is because I think, oh, well, if it's a discontinued product, I'm raving about it and people can't find it unless they happen to find it at like a TJ Maxx or somewhere on the gray market or something like that. But I do feel like we also need to talk about the products that maybe were discontinued that we enjoy too, because maybe there will be a little birdie from one of the brands who decides to bring them back, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, without further ado, we're just gonna hop into it because I do have quite a few products to talk about, and I don't want us to be here all day because you guys know I am a chatty gal. So the first product that I have, I do talk about quite a bit in my empties videos, but it's specifically been getting me through this period in my life and in this apartment. I've talked about it very briefly in some of my other videos, but I have mold in my apartment slash had. I'm still finding it in places, even though my apartment leasing is adamant that I don't have mold in my apartment. Like, I'm having to buy myself a separate dehumidifier. They've brought in like the industrial dehumidifiers for my unit, and I again am still finding mold, still having that musty, mildewy smell in my apartment. And this is something that has been helping with that. It is the Audubon, and again, I've talked about Audubon so much. I feel like I need to be like their spokesperson with how much I talk about this. And again, I mainly talk about beauty products, but at this point, beautification of the home is also within beauty, you know what I'm saying? And when your home smells like mold and mildew, it's really hard to like enjoy it. Like, I found out one of my cat trees had mold all along the bottom of it and on like the wooden post part of it, so I had to get rid of that. And because it was on the bottom, like obviously that kind of seeped into the floors in some place. So I have been using this in all of the places that I've been smelling mold, mildew, mustiness in my apartment to help clean those areas. And there is, especially after getting rid of the cat tree, just a night and day difference in the amount of mustiness. Again, I can still smell like whiffs of it here and there, and I'm maybe going to have to do a little bit more digging in my apartment to make sure that all of the mold and mildewiness is gone. But this is something that, again, I use it for my floors. I use it on like my couch and my chairs and stuff like that. It doesn't stain them. Like, I have these kind of velvety chairs, and I will spray a light little layer of this on it and it's fine. I put it on my mattress to keep that from smelling musty, and I think it's also technically a mildew stat. Yeah, it has mold and mildew control for hard, non-porous, non-food contact surfaces. I still feel like it is helpful for keeping those smells away from my more porous surfaces as well. Again, I use this all over my apartment, and this specific scent, the fresh linen scent, this just really helps make my space smell a little bit fresher, a little bit cleaner. And hopefully once I get my dehumidifier in, along with using this and maybe even buying another larger, what is that called, air purifier, I'm hoping that I will be able to mitigate those smells and mitigate the mold and mildew growth in my apartment until I am able to move out of here. Fingers crossed I am able to move out of here at the end of my lease, you know, in February, which seems so long away, but it is what it is. I'm trying to get myself through it. I don't know, again, why I can't just have a good apartment experience, but actually I do know. It's because corporate landlords are slumlords. But anyway, moving along, the drink that has been my favorite. I absolutely love these, and I hate that I'm pretty sure they're limited edition because they're in this Love Island packaging. But I really do like poppy drinks in general. I get constipated easily, so I know that these don't have like the most probiotics in there, but as someone who again easily gets constipated, I do find that drinking these semi-regularly along with taking a probiotic and all of the other things that I need to do to keep myself, you know, eating fiber, things like that, that it does help. I notice that if I don't drink one of these, at least a couple of them, 2 or 3 a week, that I get a little bit backed up. So I will say that I think they have at least a little bit of a health benefit if you are a person like me who gets stopped up easily. Hopefully that's not too much TMI for you guys, but what is TMI on this channel? Anywho, the specific flavor that I like, I almost said the specific scent. This is not a perfume or a body butter or anything, but the specific flavor, this Punch Pop flavor, again, it's like their Love Island packaging, and I know Love Island is pretty much over. I think there's still the reunion, so maybe that's why these have still been in my grocery stores and they're just trying to get rid of the rest of the stock. But I really hope that they bring this back, or not bring this back, but like keep it. There is a gnat. That's the other thing. You're about to get sprayed. You're about to get sprayed if you don't leave me alone. But I am hoping they keep this, even if they remove the Love Island packaging, that they keep this flavor, because it's just a really nice fruit punch flavor. It's not super sweet, but it's still, again, like fruit punch and sweet. It kind of reminds me of Jungle Juice. And as you guys know, I am sober. By the time this video goes up, will likely have surpassed my 4-year soberversary, which is the 19th of August. Actually, hold on. Yeah, it's the 19th of August. The last time I drank was August 18th, 2022. Up here, you can't see it, but I actually have a Braves ticket, a ticket from the Braves game, because that was the last day that I drank, and it was the day that I was just like, I want to be able to live life without drinking alcohol anymore. So the 19th will again be my soberversary, but I still do like little drinks. Like, part of the reason that I drank alcohol wasn't just because I wanted to get buzzed or get drunk or anything like that. It's because I like myself a fruity little drink, a little cocktail, and I feel like this kind of gives me that vibe. I feel like it would actually be a really good mixer in cocktails if you're a person who does partake in cocktails, or again, if you get like a little, what are those, the THC tinctures or the non-alcoholic, like adaptogenic type of, what do you call it? I guess drinks. I feel like that would make a really good spritzer, non-alcoholic or alcoholic. But I really like them because, again, it gives me my little fruity drink, my little fun fruity drink, without having to drink alcohol. Every time I go to the grocery store, I grab like 3 or 4 of them at least to kind of build a backstock of them. But then I drink just as many of them. I also like the Shirley Temple flavor of the poppies, but I don't feel like those taste like Shirley Temple. You know, I feel like it almost tastes a little bit like a Dr. Pepper, or more like, what is that one? Not Dr. Pepper, but Dr. Pibb. I think that's it. It kind of tastes a little bit more, I don't know why I keep wanting to say smell, but it kind of tastes a little bit more like a spiced cola than it does a Shirley Temple, in my opinion. I also do like the Bloom Shirley Temple. I feel like those taste more like a Shirley Temple type of spritzer drink than the poppy ones do. But anyway, that's getting too far into it. I could do a whole video about the differences between the different brands like Olipop, Poppy, etc., and their Shirley Temple flavors, and which ones actually taste like Shirley Temple, and like the flavor profiles of all of them. But that's not what this video is, so we are going to forego that. But if you would like a video like that, I'm not opposed, even though it's kind of outside of what I normally talk about. I'm not exactly opposed to filming that, so let me know. Okie dokie, and into some of the beauty things. We're going to start off with body care, because if I'm being completely honest, I haven't been wearing a lot of makeup over the summer. I've been wearing a little bit here and there, but I've mostly been wearing like my body care products because I shower every single day, and I feel like when you shower, like, you should be taking care of your body. Anywho, something that I really enjoy is this Mega Babe body dust. It's the top to toe powder, and I don't know if you can see in here. If I hold it up to the light, I am definitely less than halfway. I have maybe a little bit more than a third, or kind of around a third of this left, and I really enjoy this. I am someone who is a pretty sweaty person, especially underneath my armpits. And even though I don't have a lot of space under my boobs, you know, I'm a part of the itty bitty titty committee, I still do get some boob sweat occasionally. And while I am of the camp of sweating is nothing to be ashamed of, you shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed of your pit stains, because I mean, it's just really hot outside. It's summer to start with, but also it's getting increasingly hot because of climate change. So I'm not someone who feels like you should ever be scared or, again, embarrassed of your pit stains. But if you are someone who kind of wants to minimize that, especially because sweat often comes with a little bit of odor, this is helpful. I really like to add this with my deodorant, which I have here. It's the Sol de Janeiro Rio Dio Cheirosa 40 fragrance specifically, and I like to put on my deodorant and then add a little bit, especially on the more hot days or days that I know I'm going to be out and about, a little bit of this body dust. There isn't really a scent to this at all, so you don't have to worry about the scent clashing with your other body products at all. But again, I like to add a little bit of this because it helps soak up a little bit of the sweat underneath my arms. And I also have tried the Mega Babe Magic Powder. It's a stay dry lotion potion, so instead of it being in this, what do you call it, like powder format where you would need a powder puff or something to apply it, you can just put this on your hands and it's basically like a cream to powder type of thing. I've only used it a few times, but I feel like they work pretty comparably in my opinion. The only difference is that I notice, especially if I don't give it time to dry down, like this isn't one that I would put on right before going out the door. I would want to be in some air conditioning or in a cool place to really let it sit, because I found that when I applied this and then ran out the door immediately into the sun and the heat and stuff like that, that it did run a little bit, like the sweat caused it to kind of run down my, what do you call it? Like it just didn't have enough time to, I guess, set. So out of the two, I personally prefer the powder, but I feel like you can maybe pinpoint your application more with something like this. But again, they both kind of serve the same purpose. And then going back to the deodorant, I like this specific deodorant, and in general, I generally like deodorants. I don't know why I said general twice, but I generally like deodorants that are more of a cream. Pretty much anything that is like an invisible solid for me, or like a gel-like texture, it either irritates my underarms or I just find that it doesn't work quite as effectively. I feel like the cream formula of this again helps kind of grasp onto sweat a little bit better, and therefore grasping onto those odors a little bit better. I've had another scent of the Rio Dio before, the one that's in the purple packaging, and this one is kind of like a vanilla and passion fruit scent, but it's not a passion fruit scent that leans into like the sulfuric, almost sweaty aspects of passion fruit. Like it doesn't make me smell more musty. If you have tried a lot of passion fruit fragrances, you know that sometimes things that are passion fruit scented can smell a little musty. The same way that like grapefruit as a note, I think they share some aroma chemicals between the two, or like depending on how a certain company structures their scent. We don't need to get into all of that. Sometimes they can have a little bit of that musty smell and they can play up the mustiness. I think because this has a little bit of like a vanilla type of base to it, it's a little bit sweeter, that it isn't too like cloying or heavy or like sickly sweet because it has the fruity aspects. But again, it also doesn't play up the mustiness if you do start to sweat a little bit and start to have a little funk. In general, I find the Sol de Janeiro deodorants do a good job of lasting throughout the day. They are aluminum free, which I use aluminum free deodorant because I have some issues with my underarms being really sensitive. Even some aluminum free deodorants, like the Secret one I tried recently, that one broke out my underarms so bad and gave me so much irritation and contact dermatitis. It was crazy. But these don't do that, and I find that they last throughout the day. Like even And I know everyone likes to play hygiene Olympics, but I have had, again, a lot going on in my life. And there are just some days where I am too tired, mentally, physically, a combination of the two, for me to take a shower. But I also don't want to smell musty. And honestly, I've had quite a few of those days in the last week or so where I was just like, I am too tired to literally move from my bed. And this is one where I can go, not necessarily recommending you do so. I definitely think you should take a shower if you can get yourself together. But on the days that I haven't been able to get myself together to do that, I haven't smelled musty, dusty, and just disgusting. So again, I do feel like this is a really good deodorant, especially for the summer months if you want something that is aluminum free. I love the Way ones. You have seen me talk about the Way ones in a lot of my empties videos, or maybe not a lot of them, the last one, because I had 2 of those in the last empties video that I did. But I do think there is something about the formula of this that lasts a little bit longer. Like the Way one, if I did go multiple days without showering, it would start getting a little bit suspicious under there. Whereas again, with this specific formula, I don't necessarily have that issue as much. And then I actually purchased this Magic Molecule antimicrobial skin spray. It's a hypochlorous acid spray because I had tried that secret deodorant I was talking about and it gave me contact dermatitis underneath my armpits, and I needed to have something that would hopefully cut down the scent of the... Here my upstairs neighbor goes again. I feel like she knows that I'm filming because I literally never hear her moving around outside of when I sit down to film. Anywho, I needed something that would hopefully cut down on the smell while I was healing from that dermatitis, and also something that would help with healing the contact dermatitis underneath my arms. And this did the job perfectly, and it's not as expensive as something like Tower 28 because I used to love the Tower 28 spray, but that one just got a little bit too expensive for me to keep up with buying, which is why I stopped buying hypochlorous acid in general. But this is really good. It's so good that I've actually, again, in combination with the other things I use underneath my arms, but specifically with deodorant, I will spray a little bit of this on after I get out of the shower and then let it sit and dry and then put my deodorant on top of it. And again, I feel like both of these things help keep me from smelling musty and dusty throughout the day. I also just use this for any other skin irritation. I've had some issues with eczema on my hands and in the crook of my elbows and such like that, and it's really helped keep those at bay. I actually, once I finish the other facial spray that I currently have, am probably going to start using this as a facial spray as well, just because with the mold issues in my apartment, I feel like it has been breaking out my skin. Like literally since I moved into this apartment, my skin has broken out the most it ever has in my entire life. And again, now that I found out there is mold and mildew and moisture issues in this apartment in general, I feel like that is contributing to have my skin just being like crazy currently. So again, I probably am going to start using this on the face and see if the antimicrobial properties help clear up some of the acne that I've been dealing with as a result of the poor air quality in this unit, at least until I can move the fuck out of here. I will report back on whether this helps with my acne once I start using it on my face, but I just want to, again, finish what I have before using this all up and then repurchasing it and then having the other spray, which works fine. It's a little bit more of a hydrating mist, but it just hasn't necessarily helped with the acne issues that I've been having. Another product that I was actually using on my face and thought was breaking me out, but I've now realized that it probably wasn't this product because I stopped using it on my face and only used it on my body, and I'm still breaking out. But I will say it's really nice for the body, again, as far as odor control and things like that. It's the Thayer's exfoliating 2% AHA pads. I also have the BHA ones, which I could honestly put either of them in this because BHAs and AHAs both help with cutting down the bacteria that would cause odor. I just grabbed this one because it was the closest to me. But even when I was using these on my face, they were really nice and gentle. I wouldn't use an AHA every single day on the face or on the body, but I do find that this isn't one, especially where I've been using it on my body, again, underneath my armpits, even like in between my legs and stuff like that, because that's another area of my body that, especially with doing a lot of walking, I'm a pet sitter and dog walker, or I like to call myself a pet care professional, you know, but I am out in the sun a lot of the time. I'm sweating. It can get a little hairy down there. I'm not gonna lie. That is not meant to be a double entendre, but it kind of was. But either way, it does help with controlling odor on the body and some of those areas that maybe can promote a little bit more odor on the body. So I don't use all of these at once. You know, if I'm using the hypochlorous acid spray, I won't use this. And even this, I just use maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Nothing crazy, whether on my face or on my body. But again, I do feel like they help with keeping me nice and fresh in the odor on my body, not, you know, taking over myself and me being musty and dusty. I will say that once I get the moisture in my apartment under control and I see if my skin is getting back under control with that I want to try these out on my face again and give them another good try so that I know, was it just the mold and mildew moisture issues in my apartment that was causing more acne for me, or were these actually breaking me out on my face? But I'm leaning towards the former, that it is the mold issues in this place. Like I was saying, I am a pet care professional, which means I am washing my hands a lot after touching dogs, touching cats, scooping the litter box, things like that. And I had noticed that my hands, in addition to being dry, my nails were getting really brittle. And I have been on my journey of trying to grow out strong natural nails and to stop biting them, which I've actually done a pretty good job at not biting them more recently. So as you see, they are getting a little bit longer. I don't like to grow them out too long because I feel like that's when they start fracturing even more, but I can definitely tell that my nails are much stronger. And I have used this before, the Olive and June nail strengthener, but in particular, I stopped using it when I ran out of it at my old apartment and then moved into this one. And I just noticed, again, my nails being so much weaker and brittler and such. And ever since I started reincorporating this into my nail beauty, whatever routine, I do feel like my nails have been growing so much stronger, even with washing my hands and my fingers being in water pretty frequently. So again, if you're a person who wants to grow out your natural nails, but you normally have more brittle nails, I've had more brittle nails and like nails that peel really easily my entire life. And this has been the only product I've found so hard. Like even other nail strengtheners or nail hardeners have not done what this does for my nails. I do wish that they had like colors, you know. I really want a nail strengthener that is like a jelly red, like a see-through jelly red, but I feel like I haven't been able to find this. So for now, I will continue using the Olive and June one. But if Olive and June wants to come out with like sheer kind of tinted versions of this, call me up. I have some ideas. Moving into kind of body and fragrance products, I really like this in particular because not only does it have a scent that I feel like goes with a lot of summery type of fragrances, but I also feel like this is so good for the fact that it is so humid and sticky outside that I don't always want a very thick body butter. And there's a few more that I could have probably added in this video that I don't have on hand because I finished them, and even this one is so close to being finished. And they just sent this to me back in, I think, was it May? I want to say it was like mid-May that they sent me this in a PR box. It's the By Rosie Jane Everyday Body Milk. This is specifically the scent Rosie, which is a kind of musky rose floral scent. It is just really simple. Again, layers with pretty much everything. It's not super vintage floral. It's just Kind of smells, again, like a clean, musky floral. I also really do love the perfume of this as well, but the body milk, it's so perfumed that I can actually wear this on its own and still have a nice little perfume bubble going on. But again, it is such a thin consistency. I don't know if you can see it kind of shaking around in the, what do you call it? The container. That's what it's called. The bottle, packaging, whatever. But it's such a nice thin and light consistency while still offering moisture. Like, I put this on and it's not something where I wake up the next morning and I already feel like I need more moisture in my skin, like a lot of lightweight lotions can feel for me. And it even gives my skin like a nice little glow to it. Like, not anything shimmery like that, like not a body oil, but it looks just really nice and hydrated and kind of like supple, if that makes sense. So again, this is the rosy scent, but they have these in so many of their other scents, and honestly, it's a little bit pricey for a body lotion, body butter, you know, body moisturizing type of product, but I could see myself purchasing one of these myself. Specifically for the winter time, I might have to purchase their Dulce shade, Dulce. I am forgetting how that is pronounced, but they have a perfume that matches, and most of these, they do have a perfume that matches with. So that's a scent that I feel like would be really nice for the winter time. But again, really like this, and I'm running low of it. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope that when I empty this and tag them in the fact that it's emptied, that they're like, oh, we can send you some more. Like, I'm not someone who, even though, like, I'm obviously very grateful for brands who send me PR and send me things to try out. I'm not going to say that I like things from a brand if I don't. My brain just doesn't work that way. I've been kicked off many a PR list for, you know, being honest that, hey, this product doesn't work for me, but it might work for other people. However, I'm also very judicious with the brands and the products that I accept in PR. So I feel like that's part of the reason that even when I do get sent PR products, I don't have a whole bunch of stuff that I dislike, and I just pass along the stuff that I don't want or that doesn't work for me. But either way, I'm very grateful for what I get in PR, and sometimes it turns me into even more of a consumer. Like, By Rosie Jane is a brand that I have purchased things from continually for years before they ever reached out to me. And again, it's just really nice when they send things to me, because they're just like, hey, we see that you like this, you may like some of our other products too. Another one that they did send to me, which I had tried in a sample set of their perfumes. We're getting into the perfumes because I think we're done. Yeah, we're done with all of the body care products in particular, but they sent it to me because I tried out their perfume like discovery set, and I actually really like a lot of the perfumes that they offer. I feel like they offer some unique scents while also still having a little bit of like a wearable, clean vibe to them, and this is definitely one of them. I actually talked about this in my last empties video, which is why this bottle looks almost untouched, but it is because I finished the travel size that they sent me of this perfume. It's Layla Lou, and this is a grassy pear fragrance. Like I said in my last empties video, it smells exactly, ooh, cat hair. It smells exactly like eating pears in a bed of grass. It has like this green stemminess, a little bit of fruitiness, a little bit of sweetness, and it's one that I really enjoy for the summer months. Not everyone's cup of tea, I will say. If you don't like green, grassy, or even somewhat want to experiment with your fragrance in that way, I would definitely skip on this, but I'm a super big fan because it reminds me of my days on the softball field, and those were really good memories for the most part for me. So this is such a beautiful fragrance. Also within the green fruity fragrances, but this one has more of a citrus way to it, and I feel like I've talked about this multiple times before. I think I did a spring and summer fragrances video for this year actually, and I included this in it. It's the Maker Libertine. I have used samples of it, and then I had a fragrance friend who wanted to declutter their bottle because they weren't as big of a fan of this fragrance, which everyone has different fragrance tastes, but I was was just kind of like, I would love it. Like, I will buy that off of you if you're decluttering it. And they so graciously sent it to me. So it's really cool being in a community of people online who are just like, yeah, if I don't like it, like their trash is my treasure, my trash is their treasure type of thing. But I love this one. It is so zesty and citrusy. It has a little bit of ginger in there too. But oh, I just can't get over this. I wear this one so often. Again, for a full size in my collection to even have this much of a dent, especially considering this isn't a citrusy fragrance that is gone in a hurry. I do feel like it has really nice longevity, at least on my skin, and projection, because sometimes these citrusy fragrances can be like a little bit more close or stick a little bit more close to the skin. But again, I just feel like it is gorgeous. It has that gingery kick to it. There's some greenness, but it is just a zesty, citrusy dream. And even if I didn't have, or if I run out of this bottle of it, I would repurchase this. This is 100% a fragrance that will always be in my collection as long as they make this fragrance. If they ever discontinued it, I might have to go to headquarters. I might have to pull up on them and say, hey, whoever made this decision was not in their right mind. Please reconsider, because this is not only one of my favorite fragrances for the spring and summertime, but one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Like, I would for sure put this in my top 10. Another fragrance I would for sure put in my top 10 fragrances at this point, and of course it's another kind of fruity floral scent, maybe a little bit more fruity, clean, and floral, but it is Pear Skin. Again, I've talked about this quite a bit. I have both the Eau de Parfum version, which again has a visible dent in it. It has this charm that kind of makes noise, so I'm gonna try to hold it down while I talk about it, but dent in here. And then I also have the body mist version of it that also has a nice little dent in it, because I will wear these together. I do feel like the perfume has much more projection, much more longevity, and the body mist is just when I want to just smell myself, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes I'm just like, even though they smell the exact same, why not put them together? And honestly, again, it doesn't really make sense because they smell the exact same. And sometimes there are brands where the perfume version and then the body mist version smell a little bit different from one another, and this isn't one of those instances. But again, I just love this scent overall. It's in my top 10. It definitely has those fruity facets in it, kind of like the pear fruity scent, but there's also some florals, and then the muskiness in here is definitely like, it's not powdery musk, it's more of like a clean, almost shampoo-y or body wash, like a little bit soapy, but it doesn't smell like soap, if that makes sense. Again, it's one that I just absolutely love. It's such an easy wear, and I do get quite a few compliments on it when I do wear it. Something that does lean into the more powdery floral musk territory that I quite enjoy is Kayali Freedom Musk Bouquet. People do not talk about this fragrance enough for me. Like, when they talk about the Freedom collection, they talk about Musk Latte and Musk Matcha and Musk Santal, and I feel like Musk Bouquet has been kind of like the forgotten stepsister of the collection, but to me it just smells so good. Again, it's a floral powdery perfume that kind of smells like Polly Pocket doll heads, and on days where I'm just like, I want to feel like a Polly Pocket, I wear this. And I like Polly Pockets. I miss Polly Pockets. Out of all of the dolls, like, I had Barbies, Bratz. Bratz are like the edgy ones. Barbie is classic, but Polly Pocket, she was just out here having fun. And that's what this smells like to me. Again, I know not everyone likes a powdery floral, but I absolutely love a powdery floral fragrance. And this smells so much like Polly Pockets to me that sometimes I want to like chew on it, like I'm chewing on a Polly Pocket head, because the Polly Pockets were very chewable. And then lastly, I don't wear a lot of gourmand fragrances or more sweet fragrances during the spring and summer. I'm definitely a lot more of a florals, fruity florals, like clean, musky fragrances, those types. But when I have wanted one, this is the one I've been gravitating toward the most. It is Amande from Solely Notes, and it's actually a really affordable brand. And this is one of those almond perfumes that kind of leans almost like cherry blossom almond. So there's a little bit of a floral-y type of presence there, but it's just really nice and light. It doesn't lean too sweet or buttery, or even though there's a little bit of that nutty almondness, obviously, from the name Amande. Amande is almond in French, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's just one of those more gourmand or sweeter fragrances that doesn't end up too cloying. And I also like that it's not super vanilla heavy, because vanilla is a scent that when I'm outside and it's hot and humid and stuff, sometimes I'm just like, this is a little bit too much for me. It's like getting to my head. It feels really heavy and dense. So this one has a really nice kind of lightness to it. Okie dokie, and moving into the makeup products that I have been using the most, which this is where I do have some discontinued products, but they're so good that I'm hoping if enough people talk about them, that they're bought back, or if again you guys are interested in them, maybe you'll be able to find them at TJ Maxx and Marshalls or on the gray market. And if you were curious about them but was just like, ooh, I don't know if I've heard any reviews on some of that stuff, that maybe this will convince you to like take the plunge on them. Not saying that you have to buy anything that I talk about, obviously. I feel like that's a given, but either way, I haven't been doing a lot with my eyes, but when I do my eyeshadow, but when I do a little makeup, I have been more often than anything just smudging a little bit of eyeliner on my eyes. Like today I have a little bit of a brown, what is that, a brown cream shadow on, but more often than not, I'll forgo that and just use this. And it has been rebranded, but I'm pretty sure it's the same formula. It's from Stila, and it's their Smudge Stick Waterproof Eyeliner. This is the shade Stingray, which is black. And for the summertime, I do kind of like smoking it out, so it's not a super harsh black, but that's part of the formula that I do enjoy, is that you have time to smudge it out. It doesn't dry down immediately, but once it does dry down, I feel like it doesn't go anywhere. Like again, most of my time is spent outside walking in the heat, sweating, those types of things, and I feel like this is something where I don't notice myself having raccoon eyes and just all of my eyeliner smudging everywhere outside of where I originally smudged it. So if you're someone with oily eyelids or just generally have a difficult time with eyeliners lasting on you, I would definitely recommend this one from Stila. Again, I'm hoping that they just, like, it's the same formula. I'm 99% sure it's the same formula because it's the same name and everything. Like the shade name of it is the exact same. So again, I'm hoping that they just, you know, repackaged it or rebranded it to go along with the rest of their line. But again, highly recommend this eyeliner if you're someone who cries a lot or sweats a lot and tends to sweat off their eye makeup. When I have been doing my makeup, the bulk of it has been focused on face makeup, and specifically the instances where I have been doing my makeup other than to sit down and film videos like here has been to go to house parties or to go out with friends. So things where I am, or events rather, places, I don't know, where I am wearing a mask. So I might have like my mask rubbing and pressing against my face, but I still want my makeup underneath to, you know, maintain the integrity of it. Or if I'm outside, like walking the Beltline, because everyone knows the Beltline here in Atlanta is like the place to be, you know, that's the club at this point. But if I'm doing something outside like that, where I might be sweating, it's hot, there's not a lot of shade and cover in those areas, I want something that, you know, lasts pretty well. And this has been what I've been gravitating toward. On the day-to-day, I've just been using other skin tints to finish them up. But when I want my makeup to last, I have been wearing this Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. This is the shade Spiced Almond, which is the shade that matches me more for the summertime, but I also have another shade of this that I use in the winter time. But this is such a nice foundation, and Milani is one of those brands where sometimes I hesitate to recommend them because of the fact that they've had some instances where they've made distasteful jokes. I've talked about it before, but they've made some distasteful jokes that just didn't really land with me. So I do want to replace, I guess, some of my Milani products where I can, but I also just, it's so good. This is one that I could definitely see myself going back to for special occasions, or just, again, because the formula works so well with my skin. It is something that is a little bit more on the fuller coverage end of things, but you can sheer it out. But I like that this is full coverage, or can be built up to be more full coverage without it being matte, because I feel like a lot of full coverage products tend to be matte, whereas a lot of those like glowy sheer or glowy products tend to be more sheer. This is like the best of both worlds, where you can get that high coverage look without sacrificing being, you know, so matte that your face looks super flat or that it is soul-suckingly dry on the face. It does advertise being long wearing, water resistant, and sweat proof, and I would say that it is all of those things. I have come home from a house party after wearing this, and literally my makeup still looked the same. Actually, that same house party, I came home because it was like 3 in the morning, or almost 3 in the morning by the time I got home, and I just didn't feel like taking off my makeup. I wanted to get out of my clothes and roll straight into bed, and the next morning my makeup was still on with this. So it is a fantastic foundation, and I also feel like for it being at the drugstore, even though drugstore has definitely done a lot better with the shade ranges that are offered from products, but it's one, like, Milani has always been a brand where they pretty consistently had available products of all shade ranges for their complexion products. So again, if you want a really nice full coverage or medium to full coverage, but still sweat proof without being super matte foundation, I do have to recommend that one. Along with that foundation, I'll go ahead and talk about the setting spray that I have been using, which I've talked about this multiple times as well. Tier, or the way I so eloquently love to call it, the truth tier, because this setting spray is the truth. I feel like it's better than Charlotte Tilbury, Milani, Urban Decay, Scandinavia, like whatever versions of those that you've been using. This one, again, without making my skin too matte and flat and dry, helps my makeup last so well underneath a mask, while sweating, outside in the sun, through the humidity, everything. I am having a really hard time, even though I like trying new products all the time, I'm having a hard time with the idea of not just repurchasing this one forever, because I absolutely love it. I kind of want to try the pink bottle one, which is supposed to be waterproof, but I also don't know if that one will be more like matte and soul-suckingly dry. This one, again, it gives you the best of both worlds of holding up your makeup while still allowing it to look like skin, or at least more skin-like than, you know, a matte, very flat type of setting spray. And then another product, which admittedly this one is a little bit more on the mattifying side. There was a point at which I would have said this was too matte for me, but sometimes I do want that more matte doll-like appearance. And if I use not a lot of this, it does allow me to have that without it being too soul-suckingly dry. And this is unfortunately the old formula that's been discontinued, but if you have a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or a discount store where you can find the old Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r powders, this is the shade Honey specifically. But if you can find these, I would highly recommend purchasing it, because it will give you just the most porcelain-like skin, but it also sets makeup really well. Again, I was wearing this along with the Fenty Beauty concealer and then this foundation on the night that I went to that party and then came home and didn't take off my makeup. And even on my, like, now that I'm thinking about it, on my pillowcase, I didn't have any makeup like stains on my pillowcase. All of it was, again, still on my face and just still looked like I had just come back from the party or was just leaving from it. It was crazy, but I hate that they are discontinued or have discontinued this, and that they're taking talc out of everything because of the EU. Like, PUEU, we want talc. At least I do. Honestly, even on the days where I haven't been doing a full face of makeup, I've still like to wear a little bit of blush. Blush is one of my favorite makeup products. So I've been wearing either one of these two or both of these products, sometimes even together, because I feel like they do go together. And if you layer a powder blush on top of a cream blush, you can get a little bit more longevity out of it. But the first one is the ColourPop blush sticks. I do believe this specific shade has been discontinued. It's the shade Invite Only, which is a warm pink shade. It's just like a really simple, pretty warm pink. It has a little bit of shimmer in it, but I find on the face it translates to more like a healthy dewiness versus flecks of shimmer or glitter on the face. It lasts pretty nicely on its own, but especially topped with a powder blush on top, which is the one that I have been using more so lately, is the CoverFX Monochromatic Blush Duo in the shade Spice Cinnamon. Another kind of warm pink. It's basically the exact same shade as this, but in a powder formula. And CoverFX is one of those brands that, like, you hate to see that they went out of business. They just didn't, I guess, innovate along, or they weren't one of those brands that pushed product a lot, so they kind of fell into the background. But these used to be everyone's favorite blushes, and I pulled it back out more recently, and they're still just as good as I remember back in 2016 to like 2018 beauty YouTube days. It is pigmented, but you can also, you know, sheer it out depending on what brush you use. I like that you have both the matte shade and the more shimmery shade, so you can customize how much shimmer or glow you want in it, or just use each shade individually. So it's almost like you get multiple different blushes in one, and it was just such a good formula. It blends out beautifully. I actually have it on my face today as my blush, and again, it's just such a beautiful product. If you can find them again at a discount store somewhere, I would highly recommend purchasing them. And last but not the least, we have lip products, because again, along with blush, I feel like I have used lip products more than anything. I've become a lot more familiar with wearing a lip product with no other makeup on, again, except maybe some blush. So the one I have on my lips right now, which is in the test tube, like this isn't the official tube of it, but it is one of the Phytosurgence brown lip balms. It's the sheer one, which I think is Distant Depths, if I'm not mistaken. I used this in my last Shop My Stash video, and I like this because it does provide a little bit of color to the lips, but it gives a little shine too, but it's not quite as shiny as like a lip gloss. It provides a good bit of moisture to the lips while making them look nice and plump and also creamy. And I like this specific shade for right now because it does kind of match the overall tone of my lips, and it just evens out my lip tone because I have lips that are kind of splotchy. Like pick at my lips or bite my lips a lot, the skin off of them, so it causes some hyperpigmentation on them. So this is just something that, again, evens out the tone of my lips while also providing a little bit of moisture and, you know, just not making them look so dry, because my lips are the probably driest part of my face, if I'm being completely honest. And then I've been wearing a lot of lip stains. So the first one is also discontinued. It's the Uoma by Sharon C. It's Complicated Lip Tint plus Oil plus Gloss. And this is the shade Mischief, like mischief, but mischief. And I really like this shade because it is kind of like a brown toned plum. So when I want something that's a little bit more dramatic, I can wear this, but it still Like, it doesn't look super vampy, especially if you kind of blot it out. It leaves just a kind of plummy brown tone to the lip. It almost kind of reminds me of a slightly more plummy version of this lip balm, but it's also one that feels really nice and comfortable on the lips, and it leaves behind a nice even stain. And then the other two I have, one of them which I wear if I want a red lip, especially in the summertime. It's the Fenty Beauty Poutsicle in the shade Strawberry Sangria, and it is just a sangria red shade. It has maybe a little bit of an orange undertone to it, which I will say isn't always my favorite undertone for lip products, but I don't necessarily mind it as much in this because I can kind of sheer it out or adjust it with, you know, lip liners, other products to customize the color. But it's another one that is a really nice, comfortable formula. You can either wear it with the glossy lips and just let it kind of dissipate on its own and it leave behind a little bit of a stain. Or you could, of course, do the technique that has become more popular, which is like applying it, letting it sit, and then wiping it off so that you automatically get that lip stained look. But I personally like wearing all of these like lip glosses and letting them fade into a stain. And then the one that, in my opinion, leaves the least amount of stain, but is still a nice, comfortable formula, and I like the color, especially for this time of year. It's the Violet FR Lip Nectar Hydrating Lip Stain, and again, it's really nice and hydrating on the lips, and even after it's worn off, I do feel like my lips still feel hydrated. This is the shade Poise de Center, which I don't speak any French at all, so I don't know what that means or if I even came close to pronouncing it correctly. But this one is almost like an electric pink, but on the lips it's definitely not as bright because it kind of shears out. It's definitely not quite as bright and electric pink, and when it wears down it's just almost like a nice little petal, like flowery type of pink. Again, I feel like these don't leave as much color behind or as much of a stain as the other two products do, but it is still nice for when I just want a hint of something on the lips. And then lastly, the lip balm, or this is technically a lip oil. It's also from Milani, but it's their Fruit Fetish lip oil in the shade Cocoa Cacao. This is another product that is very similar to my lip color, maybe a little bit more warm tone, but I think you can tell like I am all the way down here with this, and that is much more lip gloss than what I normally use and finish up. But this one has just been one that is really easy to throw on. As you can see, very similar shade to that Phytosurgence lip balm, but it just adds more shine to the lips, and it's also one that is really nice and moisturizing, and as it wears off it doesn't leave my lips feeling even drier. There have even been times where I just didn't have a lip balm on me and I used this, or like I was passing by in my living room area and didn't feel like going into my bedroom to get a lip balm, which I know a little bit energy conserving, not lazy, because we're not lazy. Sometimes we just don't feel like transitioning into the room, you know what I'm saying? But I'll just reach over from my couch and grab this and put it on. And again, it doesn't give a lot of color, but it does give some shine and moisture. But anyway, that has been my recent beauty favorites and lifestyle favorites, and also just kind of summery type of favorites. Let me know what you've been using up recently. I'm going to sign off though, because you can tell by my voice, which means I've been talking a little bit too much and it's time for me to go drink some water. But I hope you guys enjoy this video and that you're staying safe and healthy wherever you are when you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.